And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, Gungans, Druids, and all you beautiful. Let's give a special shout out to all of you beautiful scoundrels, mercenaries, smugglers, bounty hunters that exist out there. To today's video where things are a little interesting for all you folks that identify as one of those few groups that we talked about today. CG is coming to us as the community to help determine what the next character should be for Star Wars Galaxy Heroes in the future. I love these things. And I actually do feel like CG listens quite a lot to these type of surveys. I believe there was a survey way back when a lot of people asked for Darth Bane, and I don't know about you, but I think we love his addition to Star Wars Galaxy Heroes. Come on over, people. Let's chat about what we have today. We're gonna go over this survey that they gave us, and basically, I'm gonna kind of give you some suggestions to CG or even the players. I'm gonna leave a link down below to this survey for you guys to fill out. It's a very simple survey, should take you no more than 10 seconds. Probably gonna take you longer to go through this video and kind of bounce some ideas back and forth from one another. But yesterday, the survey came out from our beautiful CG meathead over at Capital Games, trying to connect that bridge between community and the developers over there, asking a simple two-part question. And I'm gonna leave a link, as I said, down below in the video description for you guys to fill out yourself. Now, it's so simple. They don't even ask you to fill in like characters. Like, we've had surveys before where they're like, all right, fill in the character. Like, what name do you want? They kept it very simple. They want you to choose a faction between mercenaries, bounty hunters, and smugglers, and then choose a role: tank, attacker, support / healer. So my guess is when they get all these survey results, we're gonna get them a lot more. I see like they needed a little bit more attention to this survey. I'm guessing what they might do is just look at what's the most popular combo in their survey. Maybe it's gonna be mercenary tank or something like that, bridging the two, and they're like, all right, we'll release something like this down the road. And I'm gonna just tell you straight up what my vote's gonna be. And we're gonna go over 9 characters that kind of fits each one of these combinations: mercenary tank, mercenary attacker, mercenary support, bounty hunter tank attacker. You get the drift here. My argument, and I think this is what the focus should be for CG, something to lift up the beautiful one and only Dr. Aphra. Dr. Aphra is missing something. I think we all can agree. BT and Trip, they're beautiful, they're great, but the last 2 slots, although it's cool that there's some flexibility, we also have a lack of stability in those last 2 spots as well. I think it's one of the problems that we're having. So my argument that we're gonna go over and my list that we're gonna have for today is gonna kind of feed into my core principle guiding me in this survey. I would love to see some sort of bounty hunter tank combo. I think the key thing is a tank, because I'm gonna bring the definition. When we had the mercenary tag introduced last year, people were like, what's the difference? There is a slight distinction, but overall, all these can kind of tie into one another under the whole scoundrel thing. We know Aphra loves her dark side scoundrels, and she loves especially dark side druids. So that's gonna be my vote. Don't necessarily vote the way I'm thinking right here, but you guys go in, fill the survey, let them know. This is the best time to really tell them what characters you want to see, because at the end of the day, I don't know about you, besides that I feel good because it's the weekend, baby. I think the reason why we play this game, we want to see some of our favorite Star Wars characters come to this game. So let's get down to business and start breaking down just some suggestions to kind of get the old noggins moving around on what characters could fill in these variety of different factions that they're asking about. Now, just to give a quick little clarification, we kind of went over this a couple months ago, and mercenaries are added. What is the difference between a mercenary, bounty hunter, and smuggler? To keep it short and simple, mercenaries are soldier of fortune. All these guys, they're trying to get money, but what they're doing to acquire money is the key difference. And oftentimes you can generally assume that the scoundrel tag is like the big circle, and then you got mercenary, bounty hunter, smuggler within the big circle. And sometimes there is a little bit of overlap in some situations. That's why we see some characters with multiples of these tags. But mercenaries, they're soldiers of fortune, mostly chasing for money for combat security type work. Generally, they're hired for some sort of militaristic goal. Bounty hunters, they're being paid to track, capture, kill targets, not necessarily for any sort of militaristic political end, for example. And then smugglers, I think that's probably the most straightforward one. They're gaining money by transporting illicit goods, people, information across maybe secured sectors, borders, whatever the case might be. So with those brief definitions out of the way, I think we can kind of get to work a little bit. So the first thing that we're going to talk about, and again, not all these are going to be Dr. Aphra related, but there's going to be a core theme among them. So the first thing that I want to go over, my friends, is the mercenary tag. And when I went over this very briefly on stream yesterday, I 100% agree. I think the most common thing is Durge. If you don't know Durge, the best way I can explain Durge He's more or less kind of like the Venom from Marvel inside of Star Wars, where you think you kill him, he just regenerates again. And kind of a fun fact, he also had a bit of an interaction with the Scoundrel, Dr. Aphra, so kind of a fun little tidbit, but I think most would love to see him as coming in as a mercenary, but also have the Separatist tag associated with him because he did do some work for the Separatist army. So I think that for me, that's an easy one, him being a tank. Basically, kind of like his near immortality. Basically, every time you try to kill him, you know, maybe let's say you defeat him, he can regenerate again. I don't know, just something cool like that. Some sort of revive mechanism, something along those lines. But now, this one, I might get a little debate in terms of the actual tag here, but the next I'm gonna have here is gonna be Canderous Ordo. We were like, wait, Arnold, I know you're a little, what's un poco loco, a little crazy, but he's already, we already have a Canderous Ordo, and that's a mercenary tag. And you're right, and I love him in a multi. But let's take this conversation a little bit further, people. As you can see through his little history, Canderous Ordo, also known as Mandalore the Preserver, he was a Mandalorian of Clan Ordo who fought in the Mandalorian Wars. While serving with the Mandalorian Neo-Crusaders, he participated in several battles, earning significant glory and prestige with his bold tactics and leadership. Despite their many success, the Mandalorians were decisively defeated by Republic force under the command of Jedi Knight Revan, and Ordo was among the survivors who were forced to give up their weapons and unconditional surrender. But let's look at Anna. Why am I bringing that up? Because he's Mandalorian. Where's the sexy armor? Boom! I think we should have some sort of armored variant Canderous Ordo. And what's the debate here? Is this version of Canderous with armor, is he still a mercenary? I'm just gonna throw it in there because you know what? Why? Because it's my video and it's my rules, but you know, you guys feel free to maybe put something that's maybe a bit more fitting in the mercenary attacker spot here. But next up here, this is gonna be a fun one. We've been asking for this for a long time, and for those that have been here in a long time ago in a galaxy of heroes far, far away, we thought that there was a chance that Zuckuss was gonna be added around the time of the Chewbacca event. I'm gonna throw in Zuckuss as a mercenary, support character, healer, whatever you want to kind of fill in that role is. Basically, the reason why I'm bringing this up, first off, I didn't realize he was force sensitive. That's just an extra level of coolness on top of him. But the reason why I'm bringing up, one, mercenary, he obviously did hired work for the Empire, so that would make him a mercenary, very much so. Like, I believe, what's that dude's name inside of this game? Where's that Boba Fett dude? Yeah, we have that Boba Fett. Where's the other Boba Fett? I'm blind right now. I don't know if he's not in there. Did they not put Boba Fett in here as a mercenary? Hold on, that doesn't make any sense. He was definitely a mercenary. I don't know. I think he should be a mercenary. I don't know about that. Maybe you guys could argue differently. I would think so. You know, just like Jango Fett was hired for. It's again, there are key distinctions, but like, when is that line crossed? When you go from bounty hunter to a mercenary? I think if Jango's a mercenary, Boba Fett could be as well. But Vader setting up a whole. It's the Vader thing. And he did a lot of stuff for the Empire. Okay. Anyways. Let's not get too much into the weeds of it, because even see the IG-88 they didn't make him a mercenary either. I don't know. I got questions about that. I think we should have the mercenary tag. But here's the problem with the mercenaries right now. The mercenary tag doesn't really mean much unless you are part of Balin's crew. I think that's the thing. So even if they did have the mercenary tag for Boba, IG-88, even Boss, it wouldn't really make much of a difference. Yeah, you can use it with Balin, but he's already kind of got his crew locked in for the moment. But anyways, I digress, people. Let's keep moving on. I think Zuckuss would be a pretty cool support type of character because he was a skilled tracker. So maybe he can have like stealth mechanics, you know, maybe a way to like anti-stealth. I don't know. You guys can let your imagination go wild. I'm just throwing it in there because why don't we have a Zuckuss? I don't know. That's honestly a question for CG. Why don't we have a Zuckuss? And you know what? Let's transfer this into the bounty hunter segment. And you know, if we're already on this topic, we need to talk about 4-LOM. Why the heck is Zuckuss and 4-LOM not here? Now, when they did all these crazy puzzles back in the day, and we were trying to figure all the new bounty hunters that were going to be happening for Chewbacca, we're like, oh, obviously it could be 4-LOM and Zuckuss. Never happened. We never got 4-LOM and Zuckuss. Why isn't that the case? Now, I think this is going to be a crazy option for the one and only Dr. Aphra. Dr. Aphra, as we said, this is kind of my core guiding principle for this video here and the survey that I'm filling out. She needs desperately a solid, preferably dark side droid tank. Now, I don't know if 4-LOM, I mean, I'm putting him in my tank category for bounty hunter. You know, when I check up on his, you know, characteristics and equipment, I don't really see anything that really screams like this is a tank-like type of thing. you know, listen, with a creative mind, you can just say, yeah, he's a tank, you know, why not, you know? They can do whatever the heck they want, just like Omega, for some reason, the new one, doesn't have the clone trooper tag, even though her older version does. It doesn't have the Scoundrel, Mercenary, Unaligned Forces tag. Yeah, and Luke not being a rebel, Jedi Knight Luke, yeah. Anyways, they can make up their own rules, whatever they want, but again, having some sort of dark side droid, dedicated tank, yes, there's Chrysanthemum call-up, but it's more just for lore purposes for Dr. Aphra. It really doesn't mean all that much, unfortunately, for Dr. Aphra. She needs something a little bit more stable. Again, it's cool that she has the flexibility. I love flexibility, but when there's a point where it's like, okay, you kind of need something that fits the role well. We don't really have that, and that's when people start opting for L337, and L337 definitely has a loss of efficiency on a Dr. Aphra team. So I think Zuckuss and 4-LOM should definitely happen in this game, and I think somehow if you can get 4-LOM, I mean, here's the thing, you could use both 4-LOM and Zuckuss on the Aphra team, because again, she works with dark side scoundrels and dark side droids, but a little bit more love for dark side droids. Okay, anyways, we spent a lot of time on that. Now this one I'm feeling very confident about. For my attacker bounty hunter spot, I think I'm gonna throw in bounty hunter Asajj. Now you guys remember in the earlier conquest that we had a feature of the bounty hunter Asajj Ventures, like, oh, this is cool, and nothing ever came of it. Wah, wah, wah. And you know, we have like official art assets for bounty hunter Asajj. Why did it ever happen? I don't know. As you can see, she's already coded to be dark side. Do I need to say anymore? I think this would be a really cool opportunity. Asajj Ventress did so much, you know, in her arc that we've seen, and we just got a little tidbit of it in the Bad Batch season 3, what she was doing a little bit later on after the whole Clone Wars expired. A big opportunity. They already have, and here's the thing, people don't understand. They have a giant vault of characters. I promise you. I think I can promise Gary's left shoe that they already have like 4-LOM, Zuckuss, you know, Asajj Ventress, bounty hunter waiting in a vault. This is proof right here. Waiting to see the light of day. Put some skin on the bones, or bones in the skin, whatever you want to phrase it as, and release it to us. Last thing I'm going to recommend for the bounty hunter support healer role. This was actually recommended to me since I was thinking a lot about Dr. Aphra. I actually did not know about this one, but it says this one looks crazy wild. Deknil, D-E-K-N-I-L, I don't know. But anyways, apparently this is a first generation droideka that was modified by Dr. Aphra. And when I read the little history on this thing screams to me it's a support character. First generation droideka who was reprogrammed by Dr. Aphra, joined Aphra on a mission to retrieve memories of Trip, and was later imprisoned in the Akresker jail along with her, being used as a hub droid. Anyways, but I want to show you though, if you go down the characteristics, this screams some sort of like support droid. It's a probability droid. The Deknil could predict events before they even happen. That just screams something of support line, and could cause chain reactions that he knew the result of. His existential circuits had been heavily modified, causing him to incessantly make philosophical comments on the wonders of existence that others considered to be strange. Despite being a droideka, Deknil was heavily modified, only possessing one arm, which was armed with a blaster cannon, powerful enough to destroy an entire escape pod within seconds. So anyways, I can keep going on and on about this. This just sounds like a pretty cool support type of droid. Again, a little bit Dr. Aphra focus. I love it. It looks wild. It looks crazy. It's a droid, something to make Dr. Aphra a bit better. I'm all for it, baby. And now, my friends, we're going to move into the last category, which is the smugglers. And there's definitely going to be a theme here. None of them connected to the one and only Dr. Aphra, which has been my focal point. Now, when we look at the smugglers, really, when we realistically like, kind of reflect on this, there's really only like one smuggler team, and that's the prepared crew with Dash Rendar. But it's real. Dash Rendar kind of ditched the prepared crew. Kira ended up kind of sort of going on the Balin crew. And now there's really not a smuggler foundation. So I could see why they're asking, what would you like to see? This seems to be a clear cut for me. Let's first start off with the smuggler tank. I think Val Beckett is probably going to be a great option for this. And the reason why she's a tank, she basically stood behind, sacrificed herself. So that seems kind of tank-like, right? Sort of, you know, at least that's the way I'm getting the vibe for it. And with Val, we get Tobias Beckett. Where Tobias Beckett, I now take this with a grain of salt, hearsay, you know, rumors, whatever the case might be. Way back in the day when Solo came out, we were getting Enfys Nest, the L3s, the Kira, Young Han. There was word on the street was we were supposed to get a Tobias Beckett, but never happened. I don't know. So I don't know if with the chance of Tobias Beckett would happen. I think he could easily fill in like, you know, a new leader, attacker role for the smuggler lineup. But my thing is, boy, how much money could I put on that? I mean, the Solo movie's kind of come and gone, and Solo, from what I understood from the movie itself, was not financially successful. I can only imagine that kind of spilled to Galaxy of Heroes a little bit. I think probably Enfys Nest, maybe L3 were maybe the only profitable characters. You know, Young Han, Lando, Vander, Chewie. And plus, they weren't really needed for anything, too. So I imagine they didn't make a ton on Solo. Maybe that's why we didn't get Tobias Beckett, Val, are the two big missing things, I think, as well. And then lastly, this one I actually took from you guys. When we did our characters we expect to see this year, we know there's going to be a Force Awakens arc. And well, let's say we know that there's likely going to be a Force Awakens arc for Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. I think this is going to perfectly fill in the smuggler, support, healer role. And that's going to be Maz Kanata. A lot of people are saying, yeah, I think Maz Kanata could happen this year. It's like, oh, damn, why didn't I think of that? Yeah, I think this is a no-brainer. Especially for this year, I could totally see her being added in some sort of scoundrel capacity. I don't know if she could be a mercenary. I mean, I don't. Was she paid to help the resistance out? I don't know. She's not a bounty hunter, I think, but definitely some sort of scoundrel smuggler type of hybrid. For me, seems like a no-brainer. But people, that's gonna wrap it up for my thoughts, just bullet point thoughts of what I think these characters could potentially be. Again, super simple survey. Highly recommend if you want to get your voices heard and try to influence to some extent what characters come to the game. I will leave a link down below to this survey for all you beautiful people to fill up. But at the end of the day, let's just see if we can even just get a fraction of these characters that I broke down with you today. Holy cow, that would be huge, my friends. And at the end of the day, when I'm making videos like this, some of my more favorite videos, we could sit down, nerd out, speculate on things CG wants to do. Man, it makes me realize, like, shoot, that's a lot of characters just in these tags alone. And I'm sure you guys are gonna come up with even more wild stuff that I didn't think of. Makes you realize that that Star Wars universe truly is huge. But you know what? It's not as huge as what we like to say at the end of the day. And that is how it's great to be in the Empire today. Oh, it's great to be in the Empire today. The sun never sets.